You know, we take it for granted. You turn on the tap, expect clean water to come out. You flush the toilet, you expect the bad stuff to go away. It's simple, right? Not exactly. Across Idaho, keeping those two things happening safely is costing more than a lot of small towns can handle. In fact, as Hunter Funk found out, 2 new reports show Idaho needs more than $1 billion to fix our drinking water and wastewater systems. And that burden weighs heavier on the rural communities.
We expect it without a second thought.
A lot of people don't think about it because they just take for granted that they turn on the faucet and the faucet runs and it's clean water and even something that we can drink.
But meeting those clean water expectations is costing more than many Idaho communities can afford. A recent study by the University of Idaho found communities need more than $1 billion this year alone to work on infrastructure for wastewater and drinking water. The cost comes from aging facilities, the state's growing population, and environmental regulations. CEO of the Idaho Rural Water Association, Shelley Roberts, says small towns are already carrying a heavy burden to keep up.
For, say, the city of Boise, the cost of infrastructure is several $1,000,000, and that's divided by thousands of people. But in many cases, the basic infrastructure, there's just a base cost, and it's very expensive.
The University of Idaho study mirrors what the American Society of Civil Engineers Idaho report card showed earlier this month. Nearly 70% of Idaho's $1.7 billion drinking water needs over the next 20 years falls on small systems with fewer ratepayers and limited staff. And wastewater needs a $2.6 billion investment needed over the next 20 years, falling once again on most rural communities. In the report card, drinking water and wastewater were given a C+, which means the infrastructure was holding up, but is aging and failing to keep up with population growth and environmental standards. It also showed that there are 65 reports of wastewater treatment plants with violations to the Clean Water Act, and that while most public water systems meet federal standards, small systems are more vulnerable to compliance issues. But meeting those needs could become even more difficult, with Congress weighing a proposal from the White House to strip away nearly all funding from a federal program that helps local governments pay for water projects through low-interest loans.
Many times, the federal funding that has been received, most of it, is low-interest rate loans. It's not grants, so it's not handouts. So those low-interest rate options really help allow the community to move forward on their project in a more economical fashion. If Congress chooses not to fund those low interest rate loans, then we can go out on the open market, but you're looking at a several difference in interest rate spread, which then is going to further increase the cost to a community that's already burdened with trying to keep up with the costs that are already very high and difficult for them to manage.
Without those loans, rural towns faced higher costs, higher taxes, or the projects simply stall out. And the longer the projects get put off, the more expensive it gets. Despite the challenges, there are some bright spots. Robert says federal COVID relief dollars and state programs like Leading Idaho have funded projects and even nudged Idaho's drinking water grade up from a C to a C+. For now, advocates like Roberts are urging lawmakers to keep water infrastructure a priority, so the taps keep running and rural communities aren't left behind.
I feel hopeful that Congress will continue to support these programs, and we will continue to work on this until some of the challenges can be relieved. And that's one reason we worked with University of Idaho on that research report, and we'll be using that as a tool to communicate to our state legislators.
The Idaho Rural Water Association says they will keep working with both state and federal lawmakers heading into next session, hoping to secure long-term funding so small towns can maintain and upgrade the systems that all of us rely on every single day.
Okay, so this money that they're talking about, that spanned over 20 years, is that correct? Okay, so it's still a long time, but it's still a lot of money.
Right.
And we saw a little bit of this, just a small sample of this, what happened in Idaho City when we got that heavy rainfall, and they had to kind of shut down their water system. Now, granted, that's a small example of that, and not really the same when it comes to the pipes and stuff rotting away.
Exactly. I think you've said it really well too. And when we say, $1 billion now, mean, who's to say how much that will
Yeah.
grow over time as well? But yeah, Idaho City is a good example. They said McCall, they said Cascade, all the places we recreate,
Yeah.
usually under that rural category.
And gets overused a lot by people just passing through town.
Yep.
And the tax base isn't there to pay for it. All right, thank you very
Exactly.
much, Hunter.